Hello everybody. Today I'm just going to be giving you a guide of my XTS1500. This is mainly going to be made for my fellow friends who I'm going to be sharing these with, and we're going to be talking through the county. For those who do know me outside of this and everything, just please keep your comments to yourself. But yeah, I have a little tour I want to show you guys around, or at least the people that I'm going to be sharing these with, so that way I don't have to explain it to every single person. They can just come here and look at it. So first we're going to start off with battery and the battery here. This is your standard impress charger. You always have your terminals and everything. These two, as you can see, they have a little lever, not a little lever, but little like thing that you just pull down and it releases the battery. And it's got these notches that fit in to the back, or not to the back, on the bottom like that. It's got these 6, which will only connect to these 3. But what you want to do is you always want to put it in first to like connect all the notches and everything, and push it until you get the 2 clicks, and then the battery's not going to go anywhere. And when you're taking it out, make sure that you pull both of them down at the same time, and then pull it out. Don't never just pull it out like from the bottom. Pull it out from the top, do that, and then take it out. Another thing is you always want to make sure that you're inspecting the terminals and everything before you use it for the day. So that's up here, and it's right there, and it's these 3. This is on the radio. And then there's this one, and then this one, and then these 6. You just want to inspect them, make sure they're not broken, any of them aren't missing, or any of them are wet. If they are, go ahead and just put a little ticket in, and we can get you another spare. And yes, this radio would be used as a spare. Spare 4679, that's the ID for it. We have our mobile units, which will be hooked up at your house. They'll include your antennas, power box, everything that you need for it to power on. In case those ever go bad or we need a new antenna, we'll stick you with one of these, which is a spare. You can kind of see the S and the ID tag. Not really. But that's the battery and a battery care. The next thing is the charging. If you can see, this charger isn't really like a OEM charger, which just means that it's not made for Motorola, so it is not the best. As you can see, there's 4 little connector points right here that will connect to these 4. Sometimes, if you can see, I put it in. These 4 do not connect. You can't really see it in there, but they don't really do that. But there's 2 notches, one right there, and one right there. There's also 2 notches on the radio, or things that fit into the notches right here and right there for the battery. You always want to push it back, and then make sure that it like slides and clicks in, so that way it can't go anywhere and it does charge. Obviously I have it unplugged, but that's that. That's how to put the radio in the battery charger. If you put it in wrong, it won't charge you. You'll just be stuck with the dead battery. Then you have your codes, or your LED, or your flashing, or whatever these are called. Red, solid red means that it's charging. Flashing green means that it is above 90%, and then green, like solid green, means that it is charged all the way. Sometimes it'll display an error code, like it's flashing red. This usually happens whenever you only have a few of the terminals connected. So let's say you only have one side of them, it'll flash. And then you have the flashing yellow, which is calibration. Any of these, except error, if you can't fix the error, any of these below this white line, always put in a ticket, and we can hook you up with the new spare. Our next category is explaining the top of the radio. As you can see on top, we have your power and volume knob. This controls the power, and it also controls the volume of the radio. Once you turn it, and you hear the click, when you turn it clockwise, that means that you're turning it on. It'll have a green light that flashes, do a self alert tone, and then it'll say self test for a brief second. You can barely see it, but it does briefly show. You can turn it all the way up if you want to. It's not recommended by me, but this is usually how loud it gets. That's about how loud it can get. My recommended volume is about right here. That's my recommended volume. You have usually this would be used as your zone select knob, or your zone select switches, A, B, and C. It is kind of tricky how you change them. There's a little thing right here. You will move it side to side, or from A to B to C, different position switch. Usually you just, right there. Usually you just take it and you switch it from A to B to C. This will turn it on and show you guys a little example of it. Oh my god. But A is just blank. So you never want to have it on A. B, you don't really want to have it on B, but C, you always want to have it on C. C is your PL disable. You always want to have that on, no matter what. That's C. B is mute. So as you can see, if I ever turn a light on or anything, it makes it beep. If I put it on B, it's muted. It will not ever mute the push to talk, the talk permit tone, which will go around later, and it will never mute the audio or the transmissions. So again, always have it on C. You might want to have it on B, only if it's authorized. Never have it on A. Then you have your emergency button, which is your panic alarm, man down, emergency, whatever you want to call it. You press this and it activates the emergency on a frequency. I can do it because there's not anybody else on a frequency as of right now, but I'll press it now. You're probably expecting it to be a bunch of beeps and boops and everything, but since there's no other radios, it won't display that noise all over through the whole frequency because all the radios are off. Oh yeah, and if you want to turn it off, actually, let me just not skip to that part. While you're on emergency, you'll have a hot mic, or not. I don't know, I have to figure that out, and I'll program it, and I'll edit the video. But to turn the emergency off, we should never need emergency anyway, so that shouldn't even be a button or a category or anything. But to turn emergency off is you kind of just hold it, until it makes that noise, and it'll blink red, and then it'll stop emergency. Next is our side buttons. Oh, did I ever show you? No, I didn't. Anyways, I'll get back to that. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. So we're gonna go over the side buttons now. Your purple button, or another spare, it's a blue button. That's your light button. It basically just lights up the screen. You have a push to talk button. Whenever you push it, you'll hear that classic little talk permit tone. That's what it's called, or you can call it the radio beeps, whatever you want, but it's called talk permit tone. This button is your talk around / direct. Oh, I have to be on a different channel or zone to do it. As you can see, there's a little arrow that pops up. You usually want to have it on direct, or direct or talk around or whatever it is. You want to have it with the arrow. That basically just means that you're talking to unit to unit. You don't really want to use repeaters. Your button down here, this is your zone button. Zone up, sorry. So in a radio, there's zones and there's channels. I think of the zones as states, and then I think of the channels as cities or counties. So you can have as many zones as you want. Well, not as many, but you can have a fair amount, and you can have a fair amount of channels. You can have about 16 channels or more in each zone. I think there's a max of 216 in this radio. But basically, in each zone, let's see, I'm in this zone. There's different channels. And if you go to a channel, or if you switch it to 4, which is not a programmed channel, because there's only 3 channels in this zone, it'll come up unprogrammed, and it'll display that noise, or not display, it'll make that noise. And yeah, this is your zone up button. Yeah, not too much. I guess back to the push to talk button. You have your push to talk button, and once you click it, you have to wait for the talk permit tone, which is this. And once you hear that, you can go ahead and talk. So let's say it doesn't make that noise, or it makes a noise like this whenever you talk. That's not a good thing. You want to get that checked out. Yeah, I'll turn it up a little bit so you can hear that talk permit tone. I know some people like it. So yeah, that's talk permit tone and everything. We're gonna go to your channels and your zones and everything. So here we have Panilla's South, because we're on a South County. Well, you should be on a South County, even if we're gonna use South County anyways. Let's say you ever were to be up in, I don't know, Largo or Seminole. Well, Seminole's not really North County, but let's just say Largo. Then you'd probably want to be in North County, which is same zone but just different channel. There's no more channels in this zone. There's only 2: Pinellas South and Pinellas North. Again, you always want to be in Pinellas South. Let's say you're just a little bit lost. Let's say you're on a different zone and you're on, just for example, just a random thing like this. First, you want to turn the radio off. On some radios, it'll have home mode selection, which will put you back on zone 1, channel 1. This one does not, but you always want to make sure to go back to your home channel and zone. You always want to switch it as much as it can go, which is channel 1. It'll say channel 1 right there. And then you always want to be on Pinellas South or Pinellas S. Let's say you were ever to be in an emergency, you would click this button, dispatch, which is basically me, not dispatch, but I guess I go by dispatch, would respond, and then we would direct you to further instructions. Usually I would tell you to go to the emergency channel, so that way you're not taking up the traffic, or you're not talking on the primary channel. you'd want to go to the next zone, which is basically just zone 2, and then you'll be on emergency south. That'll be the first channel on that zone, and then there's emergency north. Again, always going to be emergency south or south, and then click it again. Then that's that. This is basically kind of like just a repeater. This is the repeater channel only. This also can be used to talk. You can talk on people, but it's very, very low chance that people are going to be on the frequency. So that's why you don't really ever want to be on that anyway. This is really just for fun. If you have a really long antenna, you can listen. You can hear people talk a long ways. Sorry, my voice is starting to hurt. But next zone is 4681. As you can see, we have, well, you can't see, but we do have 4 radios in our fleet. We have 2 of these, and then 2 XTL1500s, which is literally right here on the left. I'm touching it right now. You can literally, yeah, it's crazy. So we have 2 of those XTL1500s, which are the mobile units. I'll get to those in a little bit. And we have 2 of these, which is a total of 4. Yeah, so basically, since this is 4679, this is a spare, again, this is a spare radio. If you ever want to be away from all the talking and everything, you just go to your own little zone. And if anybody has trouble finding you on the primary channel, they can go to spare S4679, which is spare 4679. You'd always want to be in private, which is the second channel of the zone. That's just your private channel. But that's that, and then yeah, we don't have to go over every single zone. But oh yeah, then there's this. This is really not for you to mess with or touch. Yeah, it's not for you to touch or mess with. Let's say you ever need to call somebody on this radio. We're not on trunking. I'll explain trunking and conventional in a different video. We're not on trunking, we're on conventional right now. But for conventional, if you ever want to call somebody, you just manually have to say that. You can't click a button and it calls the other radio. That would be cool. I'm working on that. But yeah, you want to use conventional. You want to use your call in your zone, because every radio, you'll always have a zone for you and a channel for you, 3 channels for you, and 1 zone for you. Let's say you want to call somebody, you say just 4679 or spare 4679 to whatever radio you're gonna call. We should have a list right here, which will have all the list of the names. I'm not gonna put it because that's on YouTube and it's kind of private. But let's just say my name, Maxwell. You know, I'm right here. You have your ID, which is 4681. That's my unit ID. I'm basically just dispatch. So you basically just say 4679 to dispatch, and then that's that. So basically, if you wanted to call somebody, you'd say, okay, 4679 to dispatch, and it's like, you can either, for really quickly, for like a real quick private call, you can just go to the emergency channel if it's not taken up. But you always just want to go to your zone. 4679, let's look for spare 4679. So now you're on spare 4679 call. You're on the call, you want to talk, and then that's that. If somebody asks you to call them, you would never go to your zone, you'd go to their zone. So let's say 4680 is calling you. You're gonna click this button until you get on spare 4680. So as you can see, that's that. And you go to their call, and you guys will be able to talk. I mean, it's whatever you can go in and just sit there and do whatever on their private log. Not supposed to, but who cares? Go back to South. Yeah, you know, your primary channel always wants you always want to be on South. No matter what, you always want to be on South. So now that I explained that, we're gonna go over radio etiquette and how to speak on it. You have to remember, as a team, or whoever's operating these, this is honestly like this. You have to be pretty professional to be speaking on these. You can't just say, "Oh, what up, bro," or anything like that. You have to be like, you have to use professional terms. You can use radio codes. You can. That's what I recommend. You can't, but I want you guys to. So that'd basically just be like 10-4, 10-5, 10-6, 10-7, 10-8, 10-9, 10-10, all that. Obviously, all those codes are not going to be used. We're going to have designated codes for designated reasons. And then I'll send a list out on those. And I promise you it's something that you're just going to learn. You're going to start to remember by heart. So that's that. Again, if you ever have a disagreement or something like that, please never talk back or cuss on the radio. This is a frequency that anybody can listen to. Anybody can just hop on a frequency and hear us talking. It's really not good if somebody hears somebody else cussing somebody out on the radio. I'm never gonna give somebody a radio I cannot trust. But I'm just saying, you know, you're on a public frequency. Anybody can hear you. Anybody, literally anybody on that frequency can hear you. You're basically sharing the world with others whenever you're talking on this radio, because you have, you're on a frequency. Frequencies are public, very public. Like I've already explained. I feel like I'm gonna explain this again because I am kind of nervous about just letting people talk on frequencies. You have to be super professional. But that's the actual radio part. Now we can move on to the accessories and everything. One second. We have this little clip that clips on. Never touch this. If you do have a remote speaker mic, which is a shoulder mic, it's one of those things that you just put on your shoulder, you put on your shirt, and it's just a nice little clip. If you do have one of these that is sent with your radio, never touch it. Whether you just click the little button right here and you detach it, don't do that. It's meant to be on there for a reason. If you do want it off, just put a ticket in, and then we can assist you with that. For anything else on this radio, please. Oh yeah, sorry. One more thing. Always avoid getting water on these. Well, you can't get water on these because it's metal, pure metal on the inside or outside. So if any water touches any of this, remote speaker mics won't work. You won't be able to program it. You won't be able to do anything. It's already programmed to how I want it, but I'm just saying you never want to get these wet at all. There is a little cover for it that I am going to get, but just for the meantime, try and avoid water on this. Anyways, if you have any questions about these or anything like that, please just let me know. I would love to answer questions in the comments or messages. But without anything else, sorry, I have a very sore throat. But without anything else to say, I wish you guys luck and just ask me if you guys have any questions.